The bridge of the USS Aegis was quiet, except for the low hum of the air recyclers. It was the kind of silence that usually made people sleepy. Captain Ken Choi sat in his command chair. He held a warm cup of coffee in both hands. He took a sip and looked around the room. The lights were dimmed to a soft blue. It was a peaceful shift. To his left sat Roy Kim. Roy was the helmsman. He was leaning back in his seat, tapping his fingers on his knee. He looked bored. On the right side was Mina Park. Mina was young and very smart. She was watching the sensor screens carefully. Her eyes moved back and forth across the data. Behind them stood a tall, thin alien with green skin. His name was Overseer Vorn. He was the tactical advisor from the Galactic Coalition. Vorn was looking at a holographic map of the star system. He looked annoyed, as usual. "This sector is empty," Vorn said. His voice sounded like a low hiss. "Why are we wasting time here? There is nothing to see." Ken smiled slightly. "Patience, Vorn. We are mapping the dust clouds. It is our job." "It is a waste of fuel," Vorn grumbled. He turned his back to Ken to look at the stars through the window. Ken looked at Mina. "Anything interesting, Mina?" Mina shook her head. "No, sir. Just space dust and old rocks. The radiation levels are normal. It is very quiet." Ken nodded. He liked quiet. Quiet meant no one was shooting at them. The Aegis was a good ship, but it was not a warship. It was an exploration cruiser. Its job was to look at stars and map new routes. If a real enemy showed up, the Aegis would have to run away very fast. Suddenly, Mina stopped tapping her screen. She sat up straight. Her fingers stopped moving over the keyboard. "What is it?" Ken asked. He put his coffee down. Mina tilted her head to the side. "I do not know, sir. I saw a blip on the long-range scanner. But it is gone now." "A glitch?" Ken asked. "Maybe," Mina said. She started typing faster. "I am running a diagnostic. The sensors are working fine. Let me look deeper." Vorn walked over to her station. He did not look happy. "There are no glitches on my bridge, human. You probably saw a comet." "It was not a comet," Mina said softly. She was focused. "I saw a signature. It was very high energy." "Impossible," Vorn said. "There is no high energy in this sector." "Wait," Mina said. "I got it again. It is back." Ken stood up. "Put it on the main screen." The large screen in the front of the bridge changed. It showed a star map with a lot of small dots. In the center, there was a red line. It was moving very fast across the map. "Identify," Ken ordered. "Working on it," Mina said. Her voice was tense. "Sir, the speed is, it is wrong." "What do you mean?" Ken asked. "It is moving at 30% light speed," Mina said. "But it is inside an asteroid belt. It should have crashed by now." Vorn laughed. It was a dry, scratching sound. "A ship cannot move that fast in a debris field. The sensors are picking up a reflection." "It is nothing." Ken ignored Vorn. He trusted Mina. She had the best eyes on the ship. "Mina, is it a ship?" "I think so," she said. "It is maneuvering. It is not flying in a straight line. It is turning." "Show me the visual," Ken said. Mina pressed a button. The screen zoomed in. At first, they saw nothing but darkness. Then, a shape appeared. It was dark gray and jagged. It looked like a knife made of stone. It was moving incredibly fast. "Can you hail them?" Ken asked. "I am trying," Mina said. "But they are moving too fast. The signal cannot lock on." Suddenly, the red line on the map changed. It made a sharp turn. It was a 90-degree turn. "Whoa," Roy said from the helm. He sat up straight now. "Did you see that?" "Physics does not work that way," Vorn said. He looked at the screen with wide eyes. "Nothing turns that fast at that speed. The G-forces would destroy the hull. It is impossible." "The computer says it happened," Mina said. Her fingers were flying over the keys. "Sir, they are accelerating. They are now at 50% light speed. 80%. 90%. Where are they going?" Ken asked. He felt a cold feeling in his stomach. Mina looked up. Her face was pale. "They are coming right at us." "Sound the alarm," Ken ordered. "Red alert. All hands to battle stations." A loud siren began to wail throughout the ship. The lights changed from soft blue to flashing red. The comm bridge was suddenly chaotic. Crew members ran to their seats. Roy gripped the steering controls. "Shields up," Ken commanded. "Shields are holding at 90%, Mina reported. "But sir, their speed is still increasing. It is off the charts." "Distance to impact?" Ken asked. 3,000 miles, Mina counted down. 2,000. 1,000. "Hold on," Ken yelled. 500 miles, Mina shouted. "Brace for impact." Vorn screamed, covering his head with his long arms. Ken grabbed the armrests of his chair. He stared at the screen. The dark shape was getting bigger and bigger. It was not slowing down. It was not firing weapons. It was just coming at them like a bullet. 200 miles. 100. Ken closed his eyes for a second. He thought this was the end. Then, nothing happened. Ken opened his eyes. The ship was still there. The siren was still wailing. "Mina status." Mina was staring at her screen, her mouth open. "They missed us." "What?" Ken asked. "They flew past us," Mina said. "They were so close that our sensors got blinded for a second." "Behind us?" Roy shouted. "They are behind us." "Then why did we not hit them?" Vorn asked. He was shaking. "At that speed, the wake should have torn us apart." They are slowing down," Mina said. "They are stopping." "They reversed their engines in less than a second." "Reversed?" Ken stood up and walked to the front window. He looked out into the darkness. He could not see anything. "Bring the ship about, Roy, take us around." "Slowly. I want to see them." "Aye, Captain," Roy said. He turned the ship gently. The Aegis turned in the empty space. As they rotated, the stars spun. Then, the object came into view again. It was sitting there, floating in the void. It was not moving anymore. It looked silent and dead. "Scan for life signs," Ken ordered. "Scanning," Mina said. She waited. "Sir, the hull is made of a material I do not recognize." "But the design, it looks old." "Old?" Vorn asked. "How can it be old if it moves faster than light?" "I do not know," Mina said. It looks like something from Earth history. But bigger." Ken looked at the ship. It gave him a strange feeling. It felt dangerous. He looked at Vorn. The alien looked scared. Vorn was usually arrogant. He always said that human technology was primitive. He always said that the Galactic Coalition was superior. But now, Vorn was quiet. "Can we talk to them?" Ken asked. "I am sending a standard greeting," Mina said. "In Galactic Standard. And in English. Just in case." They waited. The silence on the bridge was heavy. Everyone was holding their breath. "No response," Mina said after a minute. "They are receiving the signal, but they are not talking back." "Maybe they cannot hear us," Roy suggested. "Or maybe they are ignoring us," Vorn said. "We should leave. Now. While we can." Ken looked at the alien. "We are not leaving, Vorn. We are the first to see this. We have to find out what it is." "It is a monster," Vorn hissed. "No ship should move like that. It breaks the laws of nature." "Maybe they just have better laws," Ken said. He turned back to Mina. "Keep trying to hail them. Roy, keep our shields up. If they move, I want to know immediately." Mina nodded. "Sir, I am reading a power surge inside their ship. It is massive." "Are they charging weapons?" Ken asked. "I do not think so," Mina said. "It looks like they are powering up a communications array. But it is very strong. Stronger than anything I have seen." Suddenly, a voice came over the speaker. It was not the robotic voice of the translator. It was a human voice. "USS Aegis, this is the United States Navy vessel. Outrider. Do you read?" The bridge went silent. Ken stepped closer to the speaker. "This is Captain Ken Choi of the USS Aegis. We read you. Who are you? Where did you come from?" There was a pause on the line. Then the voice came back. It sounded tired. It sounded like a man who had not slept in a long time. "That is a long story, Captain. We are not from around here. Not anymore." Ken looked at the ship on the screen. "You were moving very fast. You almost crashed into us. We had to slow down to match your speed," the voice said. "Otherwise, we would have been in the next star system by now." "Match our speed," Ken repeated. He looked at Mina. She looked confused too. "Sir," Vorn whispered. "Ask them how they turned so fast. Ask them how they survived the gravity." Ken took a breath. "My tactical officer wants to know how you performed those maneuvers. It should be impossible." The voice on the other end chuckled. It was a dry laugh. "Tell your green friend there that it is only impossible until you do it. We have been running for a long time, Captain. We learned a few tricks." "Running from what?" Ken asked. Silence. Then the voice came back, lower this time. "From the edge of the map, Captain. From the things that live in the dark between the stars. But we are tired of running. And we saw your ship. You fly like you are afraid of the void." Ken felt a spark of anger in his chest. "We are explorers. We respect space." "Respect," the voice said. "You limit yourself. You put walls around your mind because you are afraid of what happens when you go too fast. We took the walls down." "Who are you really?" Ken asked. The screen flickered. The image of the ship was replaced by a video feed. It showed the bridge of the other ship. It was dark, lit only by red lights. The consoles looked mechanical, like old submarines from the 20th century. There were no holograms. In the center of the screen sat a man. He wore a gray uniform. He had short black hair and tired eyes. He looked human. He looked American. The man looked into the camera. I am Commander Paul Lee. And my ship, we have been gone for 200 years. At least, that is what our clocks say. Out here, time is strange. Ken stared at the screen. 200 years. You have been out here for 200 years. We got lost, Paul Lee said. And then we found a place where the physics are different. We changed. Our ship changed. And now, we are back. Mina typed something on her console. She looked up at Ken, her eyes wide. Sir, I ran their DNA signature through the database. It is a match. But it is not a match for any current human. It is a match for historical records. They are from the lost colony fleet that disappeared in the 22nd century. Ken sat back down in his chair. He felt dizzy. You are the lost colony. We prefer to call ourselves the drifters, Paul said. But we are here for a reason. We detected a signal coming from this sector. A weapon signal. A weapon that should not exist. A weapon. Vorn stepped forward. There is no weapon here. Paul Lee looked at Vorn. He narrowed his eyes. Maybe you do not see it. But it is there. And it is waking up. Can you help us? Ken asked. Paul nodded. We can. But we do not follow orders, Captain. We move fast. And we hit hard. If you come with us, you have to keep up. Ken looked at his crew. Roy looked excited. Mina looked nervous but ready. Vorn looked terrified. Ken looked at the screen. We will keep up, Ken said. Good, Paul said. Then hang on. Something is coming. And it is moving faster than us. Shields up. Ken yelled again. Sir, Mina shouted. I detect another signature. It is huge. And it is coming from the opposite direction. Who is it? Ken asked. I have no record, Mina said. No origin. And, oh my God. It is moving too fast. The bridge of the Aegis was not quiet anymore. The flashing red lights painted the walls in a bloody glow. The siren was a loud scream that hurt the ears. Captain Ken Choi held onto the armrests of his chair as the ship shook. The metal floor groaned under the pressure. Mina, status. Ken shouted over the noise. Mina Park was typing so fast her hands were a blur. Her face was pale, but her eyes were sharp. The new contact is massive, sir. It is 3 times the size of our ship. It is moving at 0.5 light speed directly at us. Can we shoot it down? Ken asked. Mina shook her head. Our weapons are too slow. By the time the lasers reach it, it will be gone. It is too fast. Roy Kim gripped the steering yoke. His knuckles were white. I cannot lock onto it, Captain. The computer cannot predict where it will go. It is flying like it is angry. Overseer Vorn was standing near the tactical map. The tall alien was shaking. He looked at the screen where the unknown vessel, the Outrider, was floating. This is madness, Vorn hissed. We must run. We must jump to hyperspace now. If we jump now, the gravity of that thing will tear us apart, Ken said. He kept his voice steady. He looked at the main screen. The Outrider was still there. Commander Paul Lee's face was on the screen, looking calm. Captain Lee, Ken said. Do you see this? We see it, Paul said. His voice was crackling with static. It is a Zegath hunter. They use biological sensors. They hunt by feeling fear. fear, Vorn said. That is ridiculous. Machines do not feel fear. Maybe not, Paul said. But the people inside them do. Listen to me, Captain. You cannot outrun it. You cannot outfight it with standard tactics. You have to stop thinking like a textbook. What do you suggest? Ken asked. He watched the massive blip on the radar getting closer and closer. I am going to draw its fire, Paul said. You stay close to my ship. Stay in my engine wake. That is suicide. Vorn screamed. The radiation from your engines will kill us. Not if you adjust your shields to match my frequency, Paul said calmly. Mina, can you do that? Mina looked at Ken. Ken nodded. Do it, Mina. Yes, sir, Mina said. She started to reroute the power. I am matching the shield frequency to the Outrider's engine signature. Hold on, Ken said. On the screen, the Outrider suddenly moved. It did not accelerate slowly. It jumped forward instantly. One moment it was still, the next moment it was a blur of motion. It shot towards the massive enemy ship like a bullet. The enemy ship fired. A beam of green energy shot out from the Hunter. It would have hit the Aegis dead center. But the Outrider moved in the way. The energy beam hit the Outrider's shields. The ship glowed blue, but it did not break. It did not even slow down. How did they survive that? Vorn gasped. That was enough power to destroy a planet. They are using the speed, Mina said, her eyes wide. They are turning the shields into a kinetic barrier. The faster they go, the stronger the shield. Follow them, Roy. Ken ordered. Stay right behind them. Roy pushed the throttle forward. The Aegis lurched. The engines roared. The ship shot forward, chasing the Outrider. The G-force pushed everyone back into their seats. I am trying to stay in the wake. Roy yelled. The turbulence is crazy. It is like riding a hurricane. Just keep us there. Ken said. The two human ships weaved through the debris field. The massive Zegath Hunter turned to follow them. It was big, but it was not as agile as the smaller ships. The Hunter fired again and again. Green beams filled the space. But the Outrider moved with impossible grace. It ducked under asteroids, spun around rocks, and made sharp turns that made no sense. I cannot watch this, Vorn said, covering his eyes. They are going to crash. They are violating every law of flight. Ken watched the screen. He saw the Outrider fly straight toward a large asteroid. At the last second, it did not turn left or right. It spiraled. The ship spun like a top, creating a vortex of energy. It slipped through a small gap in the asteroid without touching the sides. Did you see that? Roy shouted. Did you see that turn? That was amazing. Do not try that, Roy, Ken warned. I wasn't planning to. Roy said. I am just trying to keep us in one piece. Suddenly, a loud clang echoed through the hull of the Aegis. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the ceiling. We took a hit. Mina reported. Shields are down to 60%. Where did it come from? Ken asked. It wasn't the Hunter, Mina said. It was a smaller drone. It detached from the main ship. It is fast. The drone zoomed past the window. It was small and black, shaped like an insect. It was firing small red lasers at the Aegis. Roy, evade. Ken ordered. I am trying. Roy yelled. He pulled the stick hard to the left. The Aegis rolled. The lasers missed the bridge but hit the side of the hull. "We have to target that drone," Vorn said. "Manual targeting is too slow. The computer cannot lock on." Ken looked at the screen. He knew Vorn was right. The computer could not track something that small and fast. But Ken knew someone who could. "Roy," Ken said. "You have the best eyes on the ship. Can you hit it?" Roy looked at the tactical display. The drone was zipping around, making random turns. It was chaotic. Roy took a deep breath. He let go of the computer targeting button. He grabbed the manual control stick for the forward guns. "I can try," Roy said. "But I have to time it perfectly." "Do it," Ken said. Roy watched the screen. He waited. The drone came around for another pass. It was moving in a zigzag pattern. Roy knew he could not chase it with his eyes. He had to feel the rhythm. "Come on," Roy whispered. "Come to Papa." The drone lunged at them. Roy waited 1 second. Then 2. At the exact moment the drone leveled out to fire, Roy pulled the trigger. The Aegis fired a pulse cannon. The blue beam shot out. It missed the drone at first, but Roy adjusted instantly. The beam caught the drone just as it tried to turn away. The drone exploded into a cloud of dust. "Direct hit." Mina cheered. "Good shot, Roy," Ken said. He wiped sweat from his forehead. "Thank you, sir," Roy said. He let out a long breath. "My hands are shaking." "We are not done yet," Ken said. "Where is the Outrider?" On the screen, the Outrider was engaging the main hunter ship. It was flying circles around the massive enemy. The hunter was trying to track it, but it was too slow. The Outrider fired small missiles that hit the hunter's sensors. "This is incredible," Vorn said. He was watching the screen, his mouth open. "They are fighting a ship 10 times their size. And they are winning. How is this possible?" Ken smiled slightly. "Because we do not give up easily, Vorn. And because we are crazy." Suddenly, the Outrider stopped. It came to a complete halt in the middle of space. "What are they doing?" Mina asked. "Why did they stop?" Paul's voice came over the speaker. "Captain, we have a problem. Our engines are overheating. We pushed them too hard. We need a moment to cool down." "That is it," Vorn said. "Now we die." The hunter is turning toward them. The massive hunter ship saw that the Outrider had stopped. It turned its huge guns toward the small human ship. It was a perfect shot. "Mina, can we transfer power to the Outrider?" Ken asked. "No, sir. The distance is too far. They are sitting ducks." "Captain," Paul said. "We have one trick left. But we need you to create a distraction." "What kind of distraction?" Ken asked. "Shoot at the hunter with everything you have," Paul said. "Do not try to hurt it. Just make it look at you. We need 5 seconds. 5 seconds," Vorn yelled. "We will be destroyed in 2 seconds. "Roy," Ken said. "Lock all weapons on the hunter's bridge. Fire as soon as ready." "Locking on," Roy said. "Ready. Fire." The Aegis unleashed its full arsenal. Lasers and plasma balls flew toward the hunter. Most of them hit the thick armor and did nothing. But it was enough noise. The hunter paused. It turned its attention away from the Outrider to look at the annoying fly that was biting it. "Good," Paul said. "Initiating protocol." On the screen, the Outrider suddenly changed shape. Parts of the hull extended. It looked like a flower opening up. Then, a bright light appeared in front of the ship. It was not a laser. It was a gravity well. "What is that?" Mina asked. "It is a gravity slingshot," Paul said. "Hold on to your lunch." The gravity well pulled the Outrider forward. The ship shot forward with incredible speed. It flew straight at the hunter, but instead of hitting it, the Outrider skimmed the surface of the hunter's hull. It flew so close that it scraped the paint off the alien ship. The friction created a massive spark. The spark hit the hunter's engines. The huge alien ship shuddered. Its engines flared and died. It was dead in the water. "Direct hit to their power core," Mina shouted. "The hunter is disabled." The Outrider flew past the hunter and spun around to face it. The Outrider was smoking, but it was still in one piece. "Nice flying, Roy," Paul said over the comms. "You bought us the time we needed." "You are insane," Ken said. "All of you. But I am glad you are on our side." "We are not done," Paul said. "That was just a scout. The main fleet is coming. We need to move. Now." "Where can we go?" Ken asked. "There is a nebula nearby," Paul said. "The sensors do not work well there. We can hide. Follow us." Ken looked at his crew. They were tired and scared, but they were alive. "You heard the man, Roy. Follow the Outrider." "Aye, Captain," Roy said. The Aegis turned and followed the strange, fast ship into the darkness of space. Vorn sat down slowly in his chair. He looked at Ken. "Captain," Vorn said quietly. "I think I understand why you humans survived so long in the galaxy." Ken raised an eyebrow. "Why is that?" "Because you are too stubborn to know when you are beaten," Vorn said. "And because you are absolutely terrifying." Ken smiled. "We call it ingenuity, Vorn. But yes, we can be a little scary." The two ships flew away from the burning wreck of the Hunter. They flew toward the nebula, side by side. They were allies now, bound together by the chaos of battle and the need to survive against impossible odds. Ken looked at the stars ahead. He knew this was just the beginning. The unknown was out there, waiting. But for the first time, he felt like they had a chance to fight back. The two ships flew silently through the darkness. The massive nebula ahead looked like a purple and blue cloud against the black space. Inside the cloud, the gas was thick. It blocked the sensors. It was a perfect place to hide. Captain Ken Choi watched the swirling colors on the main screen. His hands were still shaking a little from the battle. Roy Kim slowed the Aegis down as they entered the gas cloud. The ship bumped gently as it hit the thicker clouds of gas. "We are entering the nebula, Captain," Roy said. "Visibility is dropping." "Mina, keep an eye on the sensors," Ken ordered. "Let us know if anything moves." Mina Park nodded. She looked tired. Her eyes were red from staring at the screens for so long. "I am scanning, sir. It is very quiet in here. The gas messes with the long-range scanners. We are blind past a few miles." "Good," Ken said. "If we are blind, they are blind too." Overseer Vorn stood by the window. He looked nervous. He did not like being in a nebula. To his people, nebulae were places of bad luck and old monsters. "We should not be here," Vorn said. "This is the Vale of Tears. The legends say ships go in and never come out." "Legends are just stories, Vorn," Ken said calmly. "We have science to keep us safe." "Science does not stop fear," Vorn muttered. The communication screen buzzed. Commander Paul Lee's face appeared again. He looked tired, but he also looked relieved. "We are safe for now," Paul said. "The gas will hide our engine heat. They cannot track us." Ken nodded. "That was a close call back there. Your ship moves in ways I have never seen." Paul smiled slightly. "It takes some getting used to. But our ship, the Outrider, she is special. She was built to go fast. We modified the engines to handle the stress." "You said you have been out here for 200 years, Ken said. "Where have you been?" Paul looked down for a moment. When he looked up, his eyes were sad. "We were exploring a wormhole near the edge of the galaxy. It was supposed to be a shortcut. But it was a trap. It took us to a different part of space. Very far from home. The physics there were wrong. Gravity was heavier. Light was slower. We had to change just to survive." "Change how?" Mina asked. She was listening closely. "We changed our ships," Paul said. "And we changed ourselves. We could not use standard navigation computers because the laws of physics were different. We had to learn to fly by feel. We had to learn to push the engines past the safety limits." Ken looked at the screen. "So, that is why you turn so sharply. You do not use computers." "We use computers," Paul said. "But the pilot is the boss. The computer just suggests. In normal space, you are taught that if you turn too fast, you die. We learned that if you turn fast enough, and you reinforce the hull with gravity fields, you live." Vorn shook his head. "It is impossible. The G-forces would turn the crew into liquid." "Not if you accelerate the whole ship at the same rate," Paul said. "And not if you have a little help." "What kind of help?" Ken asked. Paul tapped a button on his console. "I am sending you some data. Look at it." Ken's screen beeped. A file appeared. Ken opened it. It was a schematic of the Outrider. But in the middle of the ship, there was a glowing blue device. "What is that?" Ken asked. "It is a zero-point drive," Paul said. "We found the plans in an alien ruin in that strange space. It pulls energy from nothing. It gives us infinite power. But it is unstable. It takes a lot of courage to use it." "Infinite power," Vorn gasped. "That is forbidden technology. The Coalition will destroy you if they find out." "The Coalition is not here," Paul said sharply. "We are here. And we are fighting for our lives." Ken looked at the device on the screen. It was beautiful and dangerous. "Why did you come back, Paul? Why come back to this part of space?" Paul sighed. "Because we found out what lives in the dark. The thing that attacked us today, that was a Zegoth hunter. That is just a scout. The thing that chases us, it is much worse. It is called a silence. It eats stars. We came back to warn the galaxy. But we were too late. They are already here." "A silence?" Mina asked. She looked scared. "It is a living shadow," Paul said. "It does not talk. It does not negotiate. It just eats. We ran from it for 50 years. We thought we lost it. But when we jumped back to the sector, we felt it again. It is following us." Ken sat back in his chair. This was a lot to take in. A ship from the past, with impossible technology, running from a monster that eats stars. It sounded like a crazy story. "Prove it," Ken said. Paul looked surprised. "Prove what?" "Prove that you are human," Ken said. Prove that you are really from Earth. No one can survive out there for 200 years without changing. Paul laughed. You want proof, okay? Paul held up his hand to the camera. On his wrist, he wore an old, metal watch. It was scratched and dirty. This was my grandfather's watch, Paul said. He gave it to me the day I left the solar system. It still works. He tapped the glass. And this? Paul reached under his shirt and pulled out a small chain. On the end of the chain was a silver ring. This is a wedding ring. My wife was on the colony ship. She didn't make it through the wormhole. Her ship was crushed. I kept this to remember her. Ken felt a pain in his heart. He looked at the ring. It was a simple, human thing. Aliens did not wear wedding rings like that. I am human, Captain, Paul said. I am just a human who has seen too much. I am tired, Ken. I just want to rest. But I cannot rest until the silence is stopped. I believe you, Ken said softly. We will help you. You have a good ship, Paul said. Your crew is brave. I saw how you flew. You have potential. But you are still flying scared. Scared, Roy asked. I am not scared. I am cautious. There is a difference, Paul said. Cautious is checking your sensors twice. Scared is not pushing the button because you are afraid of what happens next. To beat the silence, you cannot be scared. You have to be crazy. Ken smiled. We have plenty of crazy on this ship. Right, Vorn. Vorn did not smile. He looked at the screen with fear. I do not like this, Captain. This technology is dangerous. And this silence, if it is real, we should hide, not fight. We cannot hide forever, Vorn, Ken said. Sooner or later, we have to stand up. Suddenly, the lights on the bridge flickered. The hum of the engines changed pitch. Report, Ken ordered. Mina typed on her console. I do not know, sir. The gravity drive is fluctuating. I am reading a distortion nearby. Is it the outrider? Ken asked. No, Mina said. It is something else. Paul's face on the screen looked serious. Captain, can you hear that? Hear what? Ken asked. The hum, Paul said. Listen to the background noise. Ken closed his eyes and listened. At first, he only heard the ship, but then, under the noise, he heard a sound. It was a low, throbbing sound. Like a heartbeat. But it was slow. Very slow. Thump. 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 What is that? Vorn whispered. He looked terrified. It is the silence, Paul said. It found us. That cannot be, Mina said. We are in a nebula. We are hidden. The silence does not use eyes, Paul said. It feels fear. And Vorn, you are radiating fear right now. Vorn stepped back. It is not my fault. Calm down, Vorn, Ken said. He stood up. Paul, what do we do? We have to run, Paul said. Again. But this time, we have to do it together. Okay, Ken said. Roy, get ready to move. Mina, link our navigation system to the outrider. Let them lead the way. Linking now, Mina said. Done. Good, Paul said. Now, listen to me carefully. We are going to fly through the center of the nebula. The gas is thick there. It will be rough. You have to stay exactly on my tail. If you drift, you will hit a gas pocket and explode. Understood, Ken said. And Captain, Paul added. Yes. Whatever you do, Paul said. Don't look back. The screen went black. The Outrider began to move. Its engines glowed a bright blue. It shot forward into the thick purple fog. Follow him, Roy, Ken said. Roy took a deep breath. Here we go. The Aegis surged forward. They entered the thickest part of the nebula. The windows turned purple. The ship shook violently. The low thumping sound got louder. It felt like the sound was inside their heads. It is getting closer. Mina shouted. The reading is off the charts. Hold on. Ken yelled. The Aegis chased the Outrider through the mist. They dodged huge rocks and clouds of poison gas. Behind them, in the darkness, a shadow was forming. It was bigger than a planet. It was a shape with no edges. It was eating the light of the stars. Ken looked at the rear camera. He saw the shadow. It looked like a hole in the universe. And it was coming for them. Faster, Roy. Ken ordered. I am going as fast as I can. Roy yelled. The Outrider suddenly banked hard to the right. Roy followed instantly. The shadow passed by where they were a second ago. The pressure from the shadow slammed into the Aegis, pushing it sideways. We are hit. Vorn screamed. The hull is breaching. Seal the doors. Ken commanded. The ship groaned. The metal twisted. But they were still moving. We are almost out of the nebula, Mina said. Just a few more miles. The Outrider fired its engines at full power. It shot out of the cloud like a bullet. The Aegis followed close behind. They burst out into the clear, black space. The shadow tried to follow them. But as it hit the edge of the nebula, it stopped. It seemed to be afraid of the clear space. Or maybe the light of the nearby stars hurt it? It slowly sank back into the purple fog. They were safe. For now. Roy slowed the ship down. Everyone took a deep breath. Ken sat down heavily. We made it, Mina whispered. Paul's voice came over the speaker. He was breathing hard. Nice flying, Captain. You have guts. Thanks to you, Ken said. Where do we go now? Paul paused. There is an old space station nearby. It is abandoned. We can fix our ships there. And we can plan. Plan what? Ken asked. Paul's voice was cold and hard. We plan how to kill a god. Ken looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were alive. He looked at Vorn. The alien was sitting on the floor, shaking. Set course for the station, Roy, Ken said. Aye, Captain, Roy said. The Aegis turned and flew away from the nebula, leaving the shadow behind. But they all knew they would have to go back eventually. The nightmare was not over. It was just beginning. The old space station floated in the darkness like a skeleton. It was made of gray metal and looked like a big wheel that had stopped spinning a long time ago. The name on the side was faded, but Mina Park could still read it, Station Delta 9. It was a human station, built centuries ago near a mining colony. Now, it was just a ghost. Captain Ken Choi stood on the bridge of the Aegis, looking at the station through the main window. It does not look very safe, Overseer Vorn said. He was standing near the door, holding a scanner. The structure is unstable. The radiation levels are high. It is better than being eaten by a shadow monster, Roy Kim said from the pilot's seat. He was guiding the ship carefully toward the docking bay. Paul says the station has power, Ken said. We can hide there and fix the damage. Keep the shields up just in case. The Aegis moved slowly into the open docking bay of the station. It was a large hole in the side of the wheel. The Outrider was already there, sitting silently in the shadows. Its dark hull looked scary in the dim light. Docking clamps locked, Mina said. We are secure. Ken took a deep breath. Okay. Mina, Vorn, Roy, you are with me. We are going to meet Commander Lee on the station. The rest of the crew, stay alert. The team walked to the airlock. When the door opened, the air smelled stale and dusty. It smelled like old metal and ozone. They put on their magnetic boots to walk in the low gravity. They met Paul Lee in the main corridor of the station. Paul was taller than Ken expected. He had a scar on his chin and wore a leather jacket over his uniform. He looked tough. He smiled when he saw Ken. Welcome to Delta 9, Paul said. It is not much, but it is home for now. Thanks for the help back there, Ken said. That shadow thing, it was terrifying. That is the silence, Paul said. It is always hungry. It follows us because we carry the only thing that can hurt it. The 0-point drive, Ken asked. Paul nodded. Exactly. The engine core creates a specific type of energy. The silence is attracted to it. But it is also afraid of it. We just need to figure out how to use the energy as a weapon. Vorn stepped forward. He looked around the station with disgust. This place is falling apart. How can we fight a galaxy eater from a rust bucket? Watch your mouth, green man, a voice said. Ken turned around. A woman was walking toward them. She was wearing a mechanic's jumpsuit and carrying a large wrench. She had short hair and a confident smile. This is Sarah, Paul said. She is my chief engineer. She keeps the Outrider flying. Sarah leaned against the wall. Vessel detected was written on her patch. She looked at Vorn. Our ship may be ugly, but it is fast. What can your ship do? The Aegis is an exploration cruiser, Vorn said angrily. It is not a warship. Exploration is boring, Sarah said. Come on. I will show you the engine room. Maybe we can put some real power into your ship. Ken liked Sarah. She was direct and funny. We need to fix our hull first, Ken said. Follow me, Sarah said. They walked through the station. It was dark, but emergency lights were on. They finally reached the engineering bay. It was a huge room with pipes and wires running everywhere. In the center, sitting on a crane, was the engine core from the Outrider. It was glowing blue. Wow, Mina said. It is beautiful. It is dangerous, Sarah said. It is infinite power. But it is hard to control. Suddenly, the station shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. What was that? Roy asked, grabbing the wall. Paul ran to a window. They found us. Ken looked out. Outside the station, 20 enemy ships were dropping out of hyperspace. They were Zegath ships. They were sharp and black, with red lights glowing on their hulls. They were fast. It is a trap, Vorn cried. We are surrounded. Get to the ships. Paul ordered. We have to move now. Wait, Ken said. He looked at the engine core in the room. We cannot just run. They will shoot us before we leave the docking bay. We can fight, Sarah said. But we need more firepower. Ken looked at Paul. Can we link the Aegis systems to the Outrider? Yes, Paul said. But why? We need to do something crazy, Ken said. Remember what you said about the Columbus maneuver? Paul's eyes widened. You want to do that here inside the station? It is the only way, Ken said. If we try to fly out the normal way, we are sitting ducks. We need to confuse them. Vorn was shaking his head. No, no, no. The station will collapse. We will die. Maybe, Ken said. But it is better than being captured by the Zegath. Ken looked at his crew. Roy, you ready to fly? Roy swallowed hard. I was born ready, Captain. Sarah, Ken said. Can you give us a boost? Sarah grinned. I can overload the engine core. It will give you a speed burst for 30 seconds. But after that, the engine will need to cool down for an hour. 30 seconds is enough, Paul said. Let's go. They ran back to the airlock. Ken and his team got back on the Aegis. Paul and Sarah ran to the Outrider. Ken strapped himself into his chair. Mina, link with the Outrider, Ken said. I want to see exactly what they see. Linked, Mina said. Shields are up. Roy, release the docking clamps, Ken commanded. Clamps released, Roy said. The Aegis floated free from the station. The Outrider did the same. Outside, the Zegath fleet was moving into attack formation. Their weapons were charging. Here they come, Mina said. 40 missiles locked onto us. Sarah, now. Ken shouted over the comms. On the Outrider, Sarah pulled a big lever. The blue engine core glowed brighter than the sun. A wave of energy hit both ships. Hang on! Paul yelled. The Outrider shot forward like a rocket. It did not fly toward the enemy. It flew straight down. Follow them, Roy. Ken ordered. Roy pushed the throttle. The Aegis surged forward, following the Outrider. The energy from the Outrider's engine pushed the Aegis, making it go faster than it ever had before. What are they doing? Vorn screamed. They are going to crash into the planet below. They were near a gas giant planet. The Outrider was diving straight into the planet's atmosphere. Trust them. Ken yelled. The Zegath ships fired. Lasers filled the space where the two human ships had been a second before. The missiles tried to turn, but the human ships were too fast. The Outrider hit the atmosphere of the gas giant. Fire surrounded the ship. Brace for turbulence. Mina shouted. The Aegis followed them into the clouds. The ship shook violently. The alarm systems were blaring. Hull temperature rising. Mina reported. We are going through the storm. Roy shouted. The Outrider weaved through the massive lightning storms of the planet. The Zegath ships tried to follow, but they were not built for this kind of flying. 3 of the enemy ships hit the lightning and exploded. We lost 3. Vorn said, surprised. Keep going, Ken said. Don't slow down. The Outrider pulled up suddenly. It flew straight up out of the atmosphere, shooting back toward space. The Aegis followed closely. The force of the turn pushed everyone into their seats. We are coming out behind them, Paul said. Now, the fun part. As they left the atmosphere, they were behind the Zegath fleet. The enemy ships were still shooting at the empty space where the humans had entered the clouds. Target their engines, Ken ordered. Fire while their shields are down. The Aegis fired its pulse cannons. The Outrider fired its missiles. The attack was a surprise. 5 more enemy ships exploded before they could turn around. "They are panicking," Roy said with a smile. The remaining Zegath ships turned to face the humans, but they were confused. They did not know which way to look. "Form up on me," Paul said. "We are going to charge the main flagship." "That is the biggest ship," Ken said. "It has the strongest shields. It also has the biggest engine," Paul said. "If we hit the engine, we can destroy the whole fleet." "Let's do it," Ken said. The 2 ships flew straight at the massive Zegath flagship. It was 3 miles long and covered in guns. The flagship fired everything it had. Lasers and plasma bolts flew at the humans. "Dodge!" Ken yelled. Roy spun the ship. He weaved left, then right, then up. The Outrider did the same. They were flying in sync. It looked like a dance. "We are getting close," Mina said. "Shields at 20%. "Hold on," Ken said. "We have to breach their bridge," Paul said. "Follow my lead." The Outrider accelerated to top speed. It aimed for a small gap in the flagship's shields near the command deck. "Roy, match his speed exactly," Ken said. "I am trying." Roy gritted his teeth. "He is going too fast." "Do it." The 2 ships became a blur. They flew through the gap in the shields. Sparks flew as they scraped the hull of the enemy ship. The Aegis hit a tower and lost a wing, but it kept going. "Now!" Paul shouted. Both ships fired their main weapons point blank at the flagship's bridge window. The glass shattered. Explosions ripped through the enemy ship. "Pull up!" Ken screamed. The Outrider pulled up sharply. The Aegis tried to follow, but the damage made it slow. The flagship exploded behind them. The shock wave hit the Aegis, spinning it out of control. "We are hit!" Vorn yelled as he fell to the floor. "Roy, stabilize us!" Ken shouted. Roy grabbed the controls with both hands. He fought the spin. He fired the thrusters in reverse. The ship slowly stopped spinning. "Status," Ken said, breathing hard. "Engines are offline," Mina said. "Life support is failing. But, the enemy fleet is retreating." Ken looked at the screen. The Zegath ships were turning away. They were scared. Without their leader, they did not want to fight. "We did it," Paul's voice came over the comms. "We actually did it." "We are drifting," Ken said. "And we are not moving very fast." Sarah laughed on the radio. "Don't worry, Captain. We will come and tow you. You humans are pretty crazy." "I like it." Ken leaned back in his chair. He looked at his crew. Vorn was picking himself up off the floor. Roy was wiping blood from his forehead. Mina was smiling. "You were right, Captain," Mina said. "Crazy works." "Yes," Ken said. "It does." The Outrider moved closer to the damaged Aegis. It was a strange sight. The old ship and the new ship, floating together in the wreckage of their enemies. They were battered, but they were not broken. They were ready for the final fight. The silence that followed the battle was heavy. The Aegis drifted slowly in the dark, its once shiny hull now scarred and blackened by smoke. Inside, the lights flickered, running on emergency backup power. Captain Ken Choi sat in the dark command chair, holding an ice pack to his head. The bridge smelled of burnt wires and ozone. Roy Kim was slumped over the pilot's console, breathing hard. Mina Park was typing quietly, trying to get the sensors working again. Overseer Vorn was sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall. He looked like a broken statue. He had not spoken since the explosion. "Report," Ken said softly. Mina stopped typing. "The Zegath fleet is gone, sir. They jumped to hyperspace. They left their damaged ships behind. We are safe for the moment." "Engines dead," Mina said. "The main drive is destroyed. We have no propulsion. We are just floating." On the main screen, the face of Commander Paul Lee appeared. He looked tired, but there was a smile on his face. "You did good, Ken," Paul said. "That was the craziest flying I have ever seen." "You were not so bad yourself," Ken said. "My ship is a mess. I do not think we can move." "Don't worry," a woman's voice said in the background. Sarah, Paul's engineer, walked into the frame. "We are sending a tow cable. We will drag you to the nearest repair station. The Outrider is tough. We can handle it." "Thank you," Ken said. "I thought we were going to die." "We almost did," Paul said. "But that is the human way, isn't it? We survive until the very last second, and then we survive some more." Ken looked at Vorn. The alien was staring at the floor. "What about the silence?" Ken asked. "The shadow monster. Is it still out there?" Paul's face became serious. "It is always out there. It is waiting. But now, we have a chance." "A chance to do what?" Ken asked. "To fight back," Paul said. "I have been running for 200 years. I thought the only way to win was to keep running. But seeing the Aegis fight a fleet that was 10 times stronger than you, it changed my mind. We do not need to run anymore. We can make a stand here." "We are just one ship," Ken said. "No," Paul said. "You are the proof that others can fight too. The Galaxy Coalition is weak. They are afraid. But you showed that humans are not afraid. We need to unite the ships. We need to build a fleet." "Build a fleet?" Ken asked. "With what?" "With old ships," Paul said. "With pirates, with explorers, with anyone who is tired of hiding. We have the zero-point technology. We can upgrade their engines. We can make them fast." Ken sat up straight. The pain in his head forgotten. "You want to start a rebellion?" "I want to start a revolution," Paul said. "Are you in?" Ken looked around his bridge. He looked at Roy, who was grinning despite his injuries. He looked at Mina, who was nodding eagerly. Then he looked at Vorn. "What about you, Vorn?" Ken asked. "Are you still afraid?" Vorn looked up slowly. His green skin was pale. "I saw the impossible today," Vorn said quietly. "I saw a ship that should have been destroyed, fly through fire. I saw a pilot," he nodded at Roy, "who moved faster than the computer. I saw humans, act like you have a death wish." Ken smiled. "We call it courage." Vorn took a deep breath. "The Galactic Council will not like this. They will say it is too dangerous." "The Council is not here," Ken said. "We are." Vorn stood up slowly. He brushed dust off his uniform. "I have served with you humans for 10 years. I never understood you. But today I saw that you are something special. If you are going to fight this monster, then I will fight with you. I would rather die fighting than die hiding in the dark." Ken felt a warm feeling in his chest. He extended his hand. Vorn looked at the hand, then he reached out and shook it. It was a rare moment of trust between species. "Count us in, Paul," Ken said to the screen. "Good," Paul said. "Then get ready. We have a lot of work to do." The next few days were busy. The Outrider towed the Aegis to a hidden moon base where Paul's other friends were hiding. It was a secret place, full of old ships and stolen parts. Sarah, the engineer, led a team of mechanics to fix the Aegis. They did not just fix the broken parts. They upgraded them. They put better shielding on the hull. They installed new thrusters that were faster. They even improved the weapons systems. Roy spent hours with Paul, learning how to fly the new way. He learned to trust his gut instead of the computer. He learned to spin and dive like a bird. 1 week later, Ken stood on the landing pad of the moon base. The Aegis looked new. It still had the scratches from the battle, but it looked stronger. The engines hummed with a deep, powerful sound. Paul stood next to him. The Outrider was behind them, ready to go. "Where will you go first?" Paul asked. "Back to Coalition space," Ken said. "I have to tell them what is coming. I have to tell them about the silence." "They might not believe you," Paul said. "Maybe," Ken said. "But I have the data now. I have the proof. And I have you." Paul nodded. "We will be nearby. If you get in trouble, call us. We are fast." Ken looked at the sky. The stars were bright and clear. It was peaceful. But he knew the peace would not last. The silence was out there, waiting in the dark. The Zegath were out there, plotting revenge. The galaxy was a dangerous place. But Ken was not afraid. He looked at his crew. Roy was laughing with Mina near the ship. Vorn was checking the cargo manifests, looking serious but calm. They were ready. "You know," Ken said. "Before we met you, we thought we were alone. We thought humans were just a small part of a big galaxy." Paul laughed. "We are small, Ken. But we are loud." "Yes," Ken said. "We are loud." "Are you ready to go?" Paul asked. Ken took a deep breath of the cool air. "Yes. Let's go." Ken walked up the ramp of the Aegis. He went to the bridge and sat in his chair. It felt familiar. It felt like home. "Status," Ken said. "All systems green," Mina said. "Engines online. Shields up. Coordinates set for Earth, Captain," Roy said. "Or do you want to go somewhere else?" Ken thought for a moment. Earth was home. But home was not where they needed to be right now. They needed to be on the front lines. "Set course for the Perseus arm," Ken said. "We need to find more ships. We need to find more humans who are willing to fight." "Aye, Captain," Roy said. "Engaging thrusters." The Aegis lifted off from the moon base. It rose into the air and then shot up into space. Next to them, the Outrider did the same. The two ships flew side by side for a moment. Then, the Outrider accelerated. It moved so fast that it disappeared in a blink of an eye. "Show off," Roy said with a smile. "Follow him, Roy," Ken said. "Let's see what this ship can really do." Roy pushed the throttle forward. The Aegis leaped forward. It was faster than it had ever been before. The stars turned into streaks of light. They were moving toward the unknown, toward the danger, toward the future. Ken watched the stars fly by. He thought about the unknown vessel that started it all. They had found no records, no origin. It was a mystery. But now, the mystery was their ally. Unknown vessel detected, Ken whispered to himself. And now, we are the unknown ones. The Aegis vanished into the deep blackness of space. They were no longer just explorers. They were hunters. They were the spark that would light the fire. And they were moving too fast for anyone to catch them. The galaxy would never be the same.